Okay, all right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I hope everyone's having a good evening. I'm April Wagner. My husband Bob and I are going to be your hosts, and we've got a super exciting topic to talk to you about tonight. A little bit about Bobby and I. We have been in this industry now for almost 30 years. We were with one company for about 25 years, and then we have now with LifeVantage for about 4 years, and we've done extremely well. And I'll share a little bit more of our story as we go along. But the topic that I'm going to talk about tonight is something called activation. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with if you take a multivitamin at this point, or vitamin B's or C's or D's, particularly with the pandemic, what you're doing there is called supplementation. And that is what has been known to most of us for a number of decades now. But a few decades back, they actually found out in a lab that there's something called activation, where we can activate genes that as we get older, stop working. And so really, this is something that applies to everyone, because again, we now know aging starts in our 20s, and I'll explain more of this. But this scientist actually wondered, is declining health something we must do to accept as part of aging? And so, that hits real close to home for me. I had a grandma that my father had passed, and Bobby and I took care of her. And, it got to the point where, she was in a nursing home and, feeding tubes and didn't know who we were, and just a horrible, horrible way to pass. And yet, Bobby's grandma, there were 9 kids in that family. She actually labeled everything in the house, every glass, everything. So there was no fighting, but having no known disease, she just sat down in a chair and she passed. And so I've always thought, well, I want to live as healthy as I can for my whole life. And when the time comes, I want to pass quickly. I don't want to linger like my grandmother did. So the discovery that he found out in this lab, because again, it was of interest to him, was that our bodies create antioxidants, the same reason we're using supplements. So they create antioxidants, but the downside that he found out at that point is once we get into our 20s, our bodies stop creating these antioxidants. So therefore, we know aging starts in our 20s. And this was big, big science. In fact, he was awarded the Elliott Crescent Award, which is an award given to one scientist, doctor, who has the most impact on human health that year. One award worldwide. So, again, in the medical industry, this was big, big news, the discovery of the fact that our body could create these antioxidants. The downside was that it stopped working in the 20s. It just stopped working. And so he went back to the lab for a number of decades to figure out how to actually get this pathway, this aging pathway, to start working again and, not have it stop working in our 20s. And so we now know this as NRF2 activation. And what it does is it actually flips the switch on our good genes. We now have control over a majority, some people say 80, 90% of our good genes, and we can turn off our bad genes. And so what that means is just because your parents had some type of sickness or disease, or it's inherited in your family, you're not necessarily doomed to that same disease. And there are ways that we can go about preventing that, which is really, really exciting. And, again, this is something that the earlier you start, the better of chance you have. And so there's a term with NRF2 activation that's called oxidative stress. And what oxidative stress is really all the free radicals that we create while we exercise, while we eat, while we breathe, the environment, the microwave, water, pesticides, everything we do creates these free radicals. And to date, we've used supplements to try to offset all these free radicals. But the difference between the two of them, between the free radicals that we create and the supplementation or the foods that we eat, is called oxidative stress. And as you can see, the cell starts to look uglier. And the older we are, the more oxidative stress we have. And the downside to that oxidative stress is it leads to all aging, disease, and inflammation. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But the product that this scientist figured out is something called Protandim NRF2 Synergizer. And what it does is it reduces this oxidative stress in all of us by 40% in the first 30 days, which is huge. What it does is it activates your body to create 1,000,000 times per second the antioxidant value. So no matter what your age is, it's increasing your immune system. And you've got to admit, having a strong immune system these days is a must. I mean, with all these different tricky diseases and different things going on, our master antioxidant is something called glutathione, and it increases that by 300%. Now, I happen to know people spend a lot of money to go to medical spas and doctors to try to increase their glutathione levels through, IVs and injections and all these different things. And they can't get anywhere as close to having your body manufacture this. Like I said, 300%. And again, earlier on, because this is such exciting science, medical news, we have 13 patents protecting the duplication of this product, because you can imagine every pharmaceutical, nutraceutical company out there would love to have this formulation, which really, if you look at it, is a plant-based product. And isn't that very much in style these days? As I said, Bobby and I had been in this industry to date. Now it's almost 30 years, but for 25 years, we worked with a supplementation company in which we took turmeric, we took green tea, we took ashwagandha, because those were part of the supplements we took. And that's all we knew was to supplement at that point. But when we heard about this, which really was quite a discovery for us, because you got to imagine, for the first 25 years, we actually brought nutritional products into physicians' offices and kind of had them do like a turnkey program with nutritional products. So we probably knew, being in and out of physician offices, more than the average person anyway. We knew a lot about nutrition and supplementation in particular. So to hear about this activation was, really startling. And the minute we heard it, we're like, let's definitely want that. But when I looked at these 5 plant-based ingredients and the fact that we were taking 3 of them already, we could have just said, let's just add 2 more. Let's add the milk thistle, bacopa, and call it a day, and take 5 pills as opposed to taking the 1 pill of Protandim, which we kind of call the little yellow activator. But using his recipe, his 1 pill a day instead of our 5, and being a mad scientist and probably costing a lot more money, we get 1,800% better results using his formulation than, like I said, as if we tried to use all 5 of them. So much so that in order to get the equivalent amount of antioxidants that Protandim gets our bodies producing every day, day in, day out, we'd have to eat 11 pounds of blueberries, 375 oranges, 120 tablets of vitamin C, and drink 87 glasses of red wine every day, day in, day out. Now, I did calculate one day, because I was curious. I kept doing this presentation. It would cost us about $700 just to have all these fruits and vegetables, if we could ingest them, as opposed to using this 1 pill Protandim NRF2 Synergizer. And the science on it is just amazing. And we'll get into a little bit more of that. But for every month that you're on Protandim, you reduce a whole decade of oxidative stress, which is kind of, we're kind of talking about almost reversing aging when you think about it, because we know aging is the direct relation of oxidative stress. And the more oxidative stress we have, the more we age, the more inflammation, the more disease. And so if I took an 80-year-old who'd been on the product for 8 months, and a 60-year-old who'd been on the product for 6 months, a 40-year-old had been on the product for 4 months, and a 20-year-old, and I drew all their blood, I could not truly tell whose blood was that of the 20-year-old, which, in itself is very, very exciting. So the NIA, the National Institute of Aging, actually did a study that we can reduce aging, or extend life, I should say, by an average of 7%. So just one study of many, many we have. There's a site called pubmed.gov, or you can go to Google Scholar. You can type in oxidative stress, and you'll see there's some 250,000 studies on just oxidative stress. And remember, the correlation to oxidative stress is aging, inflammation, and disease. What's even more exciting, and this almost never happens in the nutritional arena, is we have some 30+ studies naming the product and the benefits they get from it. So these are medical studies, peer-reviewed studies that large universities have done that are directly related on our product, not like a lot of supplements where it might be a study on vitamin C or B there. So much so, like we have Harvard, Colorado University, the NIH, the National Institutes of Health, and also Washington State. Washington State did a study, and at the end of their study, they said the health effects of NRF2, this protandum, may well become the most extraordinary therapeutic and the most extraordinary preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. You know, and they likened it to huge discoveries again. And like we promised you, this was a huge discovery. Discoveries like penicillin and aspirin, big discoveries. And these are sites anybody can go to, not just exclusively, typically doctors and scientists, but anybody can go there. So another pathway that, you know, our company has discovered is that of the mitochondria. And we need a lot of mitochondria. We need mitochondria, which is the energy to cellular level, ATP, as you might remember from science. And that's what keeps our heart pumping. You know, our heart has to pump 24/7, has to pump all the time. So we all need a lot of mitochondria. We need it in our muscles, our brain cells, our lungs. We need a lot of it to keep us alive. But the sad fact is, by the time you've reached midlife, by the time you've reached 40, 45, you've already decreased half of the amount of mitochondria you have per cell. And there's huge amounts, you know, like something like you know, a heart cell might have 8,000 mitochondria per cell, huge amounts. And to think that things, again, stress, using something like Advil, poor food choices, you know, not getting enough sleep, you've already decreased half of it by the time you've gotten into your 40s. So we want to increase the amount of mitochondria energy that we have at a cellular level that, you know, not only will help slow down the aging process, but you think about sleep. Sleep in our society has become something that everybody dreams of, literally. I mean, they say somewhere of upwards of 65% of people have problems either getting to sleep or staying asleep. And I think that's affecting even the younger people, you know, in their late teens, their 20s, their 30s, having a lot of problems staying asleep. Supports the cardiovascular system and brain health, improves cellular health. And again, just boosting this mitochondria just allows us to be the best version we can and have the energy we need to just repair those cells. And you can see, again, all natural ingredients, but it's that synergistic effect, that recipe that he's put together that is, you know, also exciting with the benefits we get from this. Third product in this age reversal line that I'm so excited about is called NAD. And NAD has a whole host of benefits. Regardless of your age, you're absolutely going to love this product. You know, it's one of those things that we decrease pretty easily. And for decades, people have been trying to figure out how to increase their NAD levels because, you know, that means a lot of different things. We have a product here where we actually get 100% activation in the first 24 hours. So you feel this product, but it'll help improve mental focus and concentration, big problem in our society. What about positive mood and motivation? When you think about, you know, some of the ill feelings that people have and the kind of panic attacks and stuff people have, big issue we're dealing with these days, particularly with the younger people, again, 20s, 30s, 40s, boosts mental and physical energy, supports the body's healthy inflammation response. And again, that's directly related again to foods and stress and stuff, maintains cholesterol levels and supports a healthy vascular system. I happen to know we've got great testimonies on weight loss and also libido as well. So some great benefits from this product. But, you know, so often people say, well, you know, which aging pathway is most important to me? Which benefit would I get the most? And I'm going to tell you, you need to use all three. Given all three together, again, almost like a recipe using all three of them together, we get 2,100% better results with each of the products than if we chose just one or two of them. So again, so important that if you can use all three, definitely go ahead and use all three. And that's a patent pending process. NRF2 has been so exciting that, you know, we're taking it on the inside. We're definitely getting younger on the inside. We're getting better exercise endurance, recovery. All that is amazing with the NRF2. But we now have it in a skincare. We have it in a hair care. We have it in brain health in a drink. That's our Axio. And our newest product is called Icy Bright. And the testimonies have been crazy with this one. And again, you know, there is such a demand for people out there because we are sitting in front of the computer for hours. We're sitting on our phones for hours. we're out in the sunlight, and all of this is known as blue light that is doing a lot of damage to our eyesight, whether it be, you know, late at night, if you're having trouble getting around, or your, you know, even macular degeneration, retina problems. I never knew there were so many problems, but this is a product that'll actually help you see better, maybe get rid of those cheaters and just be able to see contrast. I love it personally for tennis. I actually believe I can see the contrast of the ball. You know, when you're playing a sport, the spin on the ball can be everything. And so if you can actually see the spin, the letters coming over the ball or under the ball, that can be huge. So love this new product that we have. And, you know, it'll just reduce all that eye fatigue, you know, from just eye strain all day long. Okay. And so this is kind of just a summary of all the benefits that we've gotten. And again, this is a wide range of products for all ages. But again, like I said, sleep is a big problem out there. Improving exercise, endurance, recovery. Recovery is huge that next day, no matter what sport you're playing, increasing overall energy, mental focus, concentration, weight loss, hair, skin, and nails. Who doesn't want their hair, skin, and nails to look better? Slow down that aging process. And really, again, it's just everyone wants to have, regardless if you're just 25, 35, 45, everybody wants to reduce that oxidative stress to eliminate, you know, that's a precursor for all diseases and out there. But that's an exciting discovery on just the product. What's really cool is the company has an equally exciting discovery, or, you know, backstory, I should say. And my husband's going to come here and he's actually going to show you or tell you more about that story. So if you'll hold on 1 minute, thanks for your time.
Hey, good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing this evening? You know, every time, you know, I've heard April 1 or 2 times do the presentation, you know, maybe 1 or 2 million times. But, you know, what's funny is every single time I hear April talk about the products, this is what gets me, okay? For every month that you're on it, you can undo, reverse, eliminate a decade, 10 years worth of oxidative stress. So I'm 61. So I said, okay, so 6 months, I can kind of get my blood back to that of a 20-year-old. And then if I stay on it, just maintain that. I'm like, how does that not excite you? I mean, it's amazing that every month you can undo a decade's worth of damage. And you heard April explain, look, I wasn't a big science person. You know, I didn't go to college or anything like that. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, but common sense will tell you, oxidative stress, when you reduce it, you reduce inflammation. When you reduce inflammation, okay, you reduce disease or the severity of disease. And obviously you do that and people feel better, look better, play better, live longer, you get it, okay? So there's a reason why the pharmaceutical companies have been trying for a long time to come up with a drug that does what 5 ingredients that God created does, called Protandim, okay? So the story behind LifeVantage is really cool. And I really relate to the business side of it, because I got into this industry because I was looking for an opportunity to earn more money. So what drew me to this industry was the opportunity and money. And then when we got into the whole wellness side of things, well, obviously that was just as fascinating. But here's kind of who LifeVantage is and how it started. Obviously, April told you the science goes back to the 60s. So the science is long and proven and fascinating with hundreds of thousands of studies. But here's what happened in 2005. Word started to get out, okay, that this little yellow pill could reduce oxidative stress, turn back the clock, reverse aging, all of that kind of stuff, you know, add years to your life. So ABC Primetime, and they're still on TV. You can, the show's been on forever. Investigative report. It's kind of a gotcha program. You know, they identify cheats and scams and fraud and all that kind of stuff. So they sent John Kiyunis, okay, into into the office, the lab, okay, and questioning the doctor and the scientist about it. And he offered to have his blood tested. Okay, so they took his blood, and here's what we are legally allowed to say. And remember, we're publicly traded. Okay, everything we say and do is investigated and thoroughly investigated. We are allowed to say that using Protandim Nerve2 reduces oxidative stress by an average of 40% in 30 days. 40% in 30 days. So John Kiyunis, the investigative reporter for ABC, had his blood checked, but he couldn't wait 30 days, like they wanted to air the special. So he came back to have his blood checked after just 2 weeks. And his oxidative stress, get this, had already been reduced by 45% in just 2 weeks. So here's what happened. Instead of them having a gotcha, a scam, haha, we're going to tell the whole world about you guys, we ended up getting a commercial that we still use today. Okay, if you haven't seen the ABC Primetime Investigative Report, tell the person who introduced you to this Zoom to send you the link. It's fascinating. It's kind of where it all started. Well, obviously now we're on the NASDAQ. Okay, we do $250 million a year. But another key thing that happened is we switched our marketing to direct sales in 2009. See, we were on the shelves at pharmacies and vitamin stores and GNCs, but guess what? Our technology, our science, remember, we're talking about activators, not supplements. The world had never heard of activation. It had never heard of activators. The salespeople in those stores didn't know what it did. The product was just sitting on the shelf. Okay, nobody was selling it. We switched to direct sales. People started sharing the story of the product. And here we are at $250 million a year in sales. It was the birth of a new market called nutrigenomics, which is going to be a $17 billion industry in itself. Now, I didn't know what nutrigenomics was, but it's real simple. It's the science now, the evidence and the science of the way nutrients, vitamins, and food interact with our genes, in particular, our DNA. Okay, yes, you heard that right, DNA. We have more control over our DNA than we thought we did as we were growing up as kids. You know the saying, well, I was born with it, like my DNA is my DNA. Do you know that by the way we treat our bodies, we have up to control of up to 80% of our DNA? Only about 20% of it we're kind of stuck with, we're born with. We have control over some of that. So again, we have a market cap now. We're at 232 million a year in sales. One thing I always like to mention is Erin Brockovich, who is a worldwide health advocate, okay, and an activist, joined our corporate board 2 years ago also, and she's been a tremendous asset to the company. Now, we're global, okay? What's really neat is that we're currently in 22 countries. There's a bunch of countries that we're looking at going into, but the next official launch of a new country is the Philippines, and that's going to happen next week. Okay, the Philippines are going to open next week, and we're excited about that. It's an English-speaking country, and it has 110 million people that live there. And but we have plans to open another 50 countries over the next 5 to 10 years. So it's an exciting time to be looking at a business like LifeVantage. Now, let me talk about the benefits a little bit, okay? And with this, I'm going to ask you to think back over the last, I guess it's about 20 months now, going on 2 years, let's say 20 months of the pandemic and COVID, okay? And everything that's gone on from back January, February of 2020 until here we are, we're about to go into November of 21. So these are the benefits of this kind of business, and think about how many people are looking for something like this if they haven't already found something like this. We get to work from home or anywhere that we happen to be. I'll tell you a story. My dad, I'm 61, my dad's 85. He had a trip to the hospital about a month ago. And one thing that really makes me appreciate this type of business is I've been able to spend every morning with him from about, I don't know, 8:30, 9 o'clock to 1 in the afternoon, and not skip a beat with my business. I help him with breakfast. I help him with lunch, make sure he takes his meds, and the nurse and the physical therapist do their thing. And I don't skip a beat, because as long as I have my phone with me or take my laptop with me, I'm in business anywhere I am. See, this is a social sharing business that we work by text and by using an app on our phone. And you know, we run the business through a virtual office. There's minimal startup cost. There's no inventory requirements, little to no overhead. And everybody has their own personal online store. That's what you see to the right, the LifeVantage store. And the picture's too small, but up here where my mouse is circling, there's a flag that'll be up there. And if you click on that flag, you can click on any of 22 flags, and your website will convert to the language and the products available in that country. It will change countries. So you own an international business from the very first day, and all you got to do is click a flag and it converts. I mean, it's the benefits are absolutely amazing, you know, in this business, but the earning possibilities are also amazing. And when you look at how many people you and I know, how many people were affected by the pandemic, how many were put out of work, how many are being forced out of work now because they don't want to disclose their vaccine, you know, their vaccine information, okay? There's just all kinds of things going on out there right now. Look at the money that is earned in this business. I'm going to give you 3 examples. If you look at the 3 red arrows, the first one says Pro 3 and it says 600, I'm going to say 600 to 700 a month, okay? Do you realize that if you had 50 people using the products that April was talking about, you would have a recurring income, a repeat income every month of $600, $700 a month? You know, it'd make the car payment, you know, that would put food on the table. Well, it used to put food on the table. Now food's tripled in price, but it would definitely help pay some bills. Look at the next red arrow, the 3,100, 3,000 to 4,000 a month. Hey, a dual working household, a lot of times you take in what you're paying for childcare and stuff, that would keep one person home. Okay, 30, 40,000 a year may keep one of the 2 workers, you know, spouses home. And maybe a mom could raise her own kids and homeschool them if she wanted to, and not have to worry about the money. Look at the third one, 13, 14,000 a month. Now we're going into like 200,000 a year money. You know, now you're getting into doctor, lawyer, accountant, architect, engineer, you know, white collar money. Okay, if you want to look one step further, where my mouse is here, 25,000 plus a month, that's Elite Pro 8. And April and I hit that level in just 24 months in the business. So all we're saying here is there's money to be made. We get paid weekly and monthly. We get paid 5 times a month, and there's money to be earned. Okay. And the flexibility of how we do it is amazing. It's not something where we have set hours. So that leaves us with this. Is it a good business opportunity? Now, I've been self-employed since I'm about 12 years old, okay? And obviously not in a sophisticated business like this. It started with, you know, washing cars, shoveling driveways, mowing lawns, you know, delivering bagels, you know, all kinds of different stuff. But when you're looking at a good business opportunity, let's start with this. You heard the products. We're the only company in the world that has them. They're unique, they're patented, and we own them, okay? They appeal to a mass market, not just in the United States, but globally, okay? Everybody gets benefit from these, from kids all the way up to geriatric. Everybody gets benefits. They're affordable and they're backed by reputable science. Hundreds of thousands of studies have been done, and they're on PubMed. All right, the products are consumable. Now, you know what's cool about that? I used to say this, I don't say that much anymore because people get pissed off about what food costs. The product is consumable and we use a subscription model, meaning every month it gets shipped out automatically. You save about 20% and shipping is free. Okay. What do I mean by consumable? Well, it's kind of like going to the grocery store. You may like going, you may not like going, but it doesn't make any difference. Every week you need to go again because the stuff you bought last week has run out and you need to buy it again. Well, in this business, when the product is consumable, same thing happens. It runs out and they need to get it again. Why do they get it again? Because they're feeling great. It's amazing. So here's what it boils down to. Can I do this? Well, let me ask you something. Actually, I'm going to tell you something first. You're already doing it. You're just not getting paid. You're already doing it. See, if you're using an app on your phone or have ever used an app, Facebook, Uber, your email, any type of app, Amazon, or you text from your phone, you're doing this business. You're just not getting paid for it. Because see, we do the business during the in-between times of our day. We don't set aside 3 or 4 hours to do it or 8 or 9 hours to do it. The same way you check your text, your email, your Facebook, your notifications, all that. That's the way we do this business. We use a real simple ITT system where we invite people to take a look. We share a tool with them. It could be a Zoom like this. It could be a video, okay? And then we have a team that'll help validate or answer questions if you can't answer them. It's that simple. So everybody can do this business because everybody has the same tools and we're all using the same smartphones. So that brings us to this. Number one, April and I and everybody on here that invited you on to show you this are very, very appreciative of the support you're showing and the half hour of your time that you've given. But if you want to know how you can be supportive even more, activate your own health and be a customer. Start taking away decades of oxidative stress. See, it doesn't cost anything to join. The monthly subscription saves you money and the shipping's free. But if I hit something on the business side that maybe you'd like to have a backup income, a second income, a third income, maybe you don't like what's going on with these mandates and people being fired or forced out of their nurse jobs, doctor jobs, police job, whatever it might be. Hey, join us in the business and share these amazing products that can change people's lives. We're building a legacy business that we're going to leave to our kids and grandkids when we're no longer here. But if nothing else, please be a source of referrals. We'd love for you to be a source of referrals for yourself. In other words, join us and refer people to yourself. But if you're not interested in having better health or joining us in our crusade in the business, that's okay. But all the people that that have had a difficult time over the last 20 months, hey, be a source of referrals to the person who invited you on. They cared enough about you to invite you on. So if you don't want to take advantage of it yourself, would you please consider sending referrals their way? And we'd be very, very appreciative. But all you got to do to get started as a customer or to get started in the business or to get your questions answered is just reach back out to the person that invited you, on here tonight. So from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of April too, okay, we want to thank you for the time you've given, and we're very, very grateful. Okay, we never take anybody's time for granted, and we're very grateful. But if you'll hold on 1 second, what I want to do is stop the share. I love looking at all the faces, so I'm going to go back to full screen. And let's see. There everybody is. I like this screen the best. Okay. I just like seeing everybody. I think Zoom is really cool. And I love the fact that we get to see each other. We can wave to each other, okay? We can bless each other. We can do a lot of things. And I love this screen, okay? So do me a favor, get back to the person, even if it's a quick text, okay? When we're going to be done in a second here, get back to the person that invited you on here tonight and tell them that you appreciate them thinking of you and inviting you on. And if you want to get on the products, which I think everybody should, but well, you have some questions about joining us in the business, they will answer them for you. And if you got something you want to run by me in April, they'll put you in touch with us. Either way, we're happy to help. So everybody have a great evening. Everybody wave. I like when everybody waves. God bless you all. We really, really appreciate the half hour of time. So have a great night and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.